Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into the deep end today, breaking down the science, the skeptics, and the actual daily habits behind self-confidence and intelligence. You know, we're looking at some truly fascinating research here that bridges developmental psychology with everyday routines, all to answer that one question we've literally all asked ourselves when facing a massive challenge.
So here's the big question, right at the intersection of genetics and psychology. Is confidence just something you're born with? I mean, are you handed a set amount of intelligence and confidence at birth that basically sets your ceiling in life? Or are these traits more like muscles, things you can just systematically build up over time?
To get to the bottom of this, I want you to imagine the intense pressure of a surprisingly stressful sixth grade classroom. Picture this, it's PS 153 in Brooklyn, and a young girl named Carol Dweck is in a class where students are literally seated in order of their IQ scores. Yeah, the teacher made it crystal clear exactly where everyone stood. Even basic privileges like washing the erasers or wiping down the blackboard were exclusively reserved for the kids with the highest IQs. Because of this incredibly rigid setup, young Carol became absolutely terrified of making a mistake. She actually found herself dodging spelling bees and French competitions just to protect her fragile reputation as a so-called smart kid. Talk about a stressful way to learn, right?
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We'll look at the myth of innate ability, fixed versus growth mindset, the replication debate, shifting your internal dialogue, optimizing your environment, and finally, sustaining incremental growth. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Myth of Innate Ability. So that highly anxious young girl in Brooklyn? Well, she grew up to be Dr. Carol Dweck, an absolute powerhouse in developmental psychology. Her academic resume is incredible. Educated at Barnard and Yale, followed by faculty spots at Illinois, Harvard, Columbia, and now she's a professor at Stanford. That pedigree is a big reason why her theories blew up globally. She basically dedicated her whole career to figuring out one burning question. Why do some students push through when things get rough, while others just throw in the towel?
Section 2. Fixed versus growth mindset. Her lifelong research sparked a massive breakthrough in how we view our own potential, centered around something called implicit theories of intelligence. Which sounds fancy, but simply put, these are the quiet, hidden assumptions we all make about whether our basic traits can actually change. We all sit somewhere on a spectrum based on these deep-seated internal beliefs.
The contrast between the two ends of this spectrum is honestly mind-blowing. On one end, you've got the fixed mindset. People here think intelligence is totally static. You get what you get, and because of that, they dread failure, viewing it as a permanent stamp on their self-worth. Their main goal is just looking smart all the time, which, let's be real, is exhausting. But on the flip side, you have the growth mindset. These folks believe intelligence is highly malleable. They actively welcome challenges. To them, failure isn't a reflection of their worth. It's just a totally normal, necessary stepping stone for getting better.
And this leads us to a really counterintuitive finding. If you're a parent, a mentor, or a boss, this changes the game. Surprisingly, just telling a kid they are smart can actually trap them in a fixed mindset. It puts this huge burden on them to maintain the label, making them terrified to look stupid if they face a hard problem later. So instead of praising the natural outcome, Dweck says we should be praising the effort, the strategy, and the grit it takes to tackle something new.
Section 3. The replication debate.
Now, to be totally objective here, we have to look at the rigorous scientific debate surrounding this theory. Like any major psychological framework, there are vocal skeptics. Critics like Toby Young from The Spectator point out that independent researchers, like psychology professor Timothy Bates at Edinburgh University, have heavily struggled to replicate Dweck's findings in controlled labs. Young asks a pretty grounded question. If highly trained psychology professors can't perfectly replicate this in the lab, how on earth are everyday teachers managing classrooms full of unruly kids supposed to pull it off?
The methodology itself has also taken some heat. A statistician named Nick Brown applied the Grimm statistical test to some early mindset research and found data recording errors in a famous 1998 study. To her credit, Dr. Dweck openly acknowledged those errors. On top of that, professors like David James have raised some heavy sociological concerns. He argues that telling a student their failure is just a mindset issue totally ignores massive systemic roadblocks. Think underfunded schools, learning disabilities, or tough home lives. It essentially individualizes failure, putting a massive and maybe unfair burden entirely on the kid.
All of this back and forth culminated in a huge 2019 randomized controlled trial.
conducted by the Education Endowment Foundation across 101 schools in England. They tracked over 5,000 pupils. The whole point was to see if a growth mindset intervention actually produced better, measurable test scores in the real world.
The results? Pretty striking. The students who received the mindset intervention showed absolutely zero additional progress in literacy or numeracy compared to the control group. So, while having a growth mindset is a beautiful, elegant concept for building resilience and a love for learning, the hard data showed it definitely wasn't a magic bullet for boosting standardized test scores.
Section 4. Shifting your internal dialogue.
But hey, here is the good news. Even if formal mindset training doesn't magically inflate math scores, clinical research clearly shows we can still actively build our own self-confidence through targeted daily habits. Addiction and mental health expert Dr. Adi Jaffray stresses that self-confidence isn't just handed to a lucky few, it's a cultivated skill. First up, set 1 to 3 exceedingly doable daily goals. I'm talking tiny, like sending one email or just clearing off your desk. You're literally training your brain's reward system to expect a win. Second, practice deliberate positive self-talk. And third, keep a gratitude journal with 3 things you're thankful for every day. This basically forces your brain to develop an exaggerated bias toward the good stuff.
Catching and replacing your negative inner dialogue is absolutely crucial here. When you catch yourself spiraling, thinking, I'm never going to get this right, you consciously have to swap it out for an affirming alternative, like, I'm learning and growing. Now, Dr. Jaffray makes a really comforting point. If doing this feels super unnatural, corny, or just downright awkward at first, that's completely normal. But pushing through that initial awkwardness is a non-negotiable for building genuine, lasting self-esteem.
Section 5. Optimizing your environment. Moving beyond our own heads, our external environment has a huge impact on confidence. Step 1. Aggressively curate your social media. We all know that terrible feeling of scrolling and instantly feeling behind in life because you're comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel. Just unfollow any accounts that trigger that self-doubt. Step 2. Surround yourself with positive people who actually live the way you want to live. And Step 3. Learn to ask for help without guilt. Seriously, realizing you need backup and asking for it isn't a weakness. It's a massive sign of self-awareness and real strength.
Section 6. Sustaining incremental growth.
Ultimately, holding on to confidence requires consistent action. Start with just 5 minutes of daily mindfulness. And you don't need to go on a retreat for this. You can literally do it while brushing your teeth. Just bring your focus entirely back to the present moment to quiet down those past regrets or future anxieties. Next, try to get 10 to 15 minutes of physical activity in. It naturally releases dopamine and endorphins, which biologically boost your motivation. Finally, dedicate 15 to 30 minutes to learning a totally new skill. Proving to yourself that you can build a new ability from scratch directly boosts your self-efficacy, essentially proving the growth mindset right in real time.
When we step back and look at all this research, from cognitive psychology right down to our daily behavioral habits, the big takeaway is super clear. Confidence is not some genetic gift you're just handed at birth. It's a cultivated byproduct of small, totally doable daily habits. It is literally just like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to really chew on. Out of all the small habits we covered today, from tweaking your self-talk to curating your social media to taking a 15-minute walk, which one are you going to start doing right now, today, to prove to yourself that your potential isn't fixed?